Hi, I'm Dr. Doug Van Zyl, Superintendent of Schools for Lakeville Area Schools. I want to take this opportunity today to share with you the state of our schools and share some information with you about our upcoming levy with the election that will take place on November 7th. So I wanted to take this time to be able to share with you how we as a school district are growing together and some of the great things that we have done in the past and are looking to do this year and some of the future things that we hope to accomplish. First of all, I'd like to thank our Board of Education. You can see those members are highlighted there. Also our administrative cabinet and the administrative team that we have that work hard every day to support our staff and students. Also wanted to point out to you that the mission of our district, and it's listed there, is together with families and community, Lakeville Area Schools provides educational opportunities to ensure academic, social, civic, and personal readiness for every student. I think that's important to remember that we are focusing on every student, just not specific categories or individuals, but it really is about how do we provide the best for all of our students. As we take a look at our district, one of the things I think that's very obvious as you look around our community is we are a growing district. Our school district job is to provide that environment for all of our students to have a well-rounded education. And as our community continues to grow, we continue to see demand for new housing, and it's expected that we'll continue to see residential growth for the foreseeable future. Here's an example on this graph of what's taking place in residential building permits. You can see that over the past 5 years, we've added more than 3,000 new homes and townhomes, and we've been a statewide leader in residential housing for several years. With that growth of our residential areas, many of those houses that are being developed and built also bring with them students. And so as you can see for us, our projected growth over the next 5 to 10 years is continue to move forward. And that's something that is a blessing, but also can be a challenge as we take a look at trying to make sure we have facilities that can house all of those students and also the changing needs of our students. On this particular slide, you can show our elementary enrollment. And over at least the next several years, you can see we're expected to have about 900 more students show up in our facilities than we currently have. And if we don't have our new facility, Highview Elementary, come online, that will create a very tight capacity in all of our schools and will actually be over capacity in a majority of our schools. So Highview helps alleviate that, but it also shows that over the next few years we're probably going to have to come back and readdress elementary enrollment as well. As a school district, we have numerous things to be proud of. You can see a few of them listed on the screen. Our graduation rate, our ACT scores, how our community rates our schools, with our financial reporting for our audits and making sure we're following the right processes. Senior citizens have many opportunities to attend events for free, and then also community education and the number of folks that get served of all ages in our community. We also yearly take a survey and send it out to our residents and our parents and ask about some of the things that they like most about our school district. And again, here you can see many of the things that are listed, from our high quality teachers to the programming and academic achievement of our students, to how communication is provided to our community and to our parents, and the academic and sport and activity success of all of our students. Some fun or fast facts that you may want to know, as you can see on the slide here, we have over 2,000 staff members, 2,300 to be exact. Our school district is over 86 square miles in size. Some people think it's just Lakeville proper, but we go all the way down to Elko New Market and then to the east and to the west for 86 square miles. After the boundaries of 86 square miles, you can see that we also provide transportation to about 8,400 students, and our buses cover about 7,300 miles each day. We have 18 facilities with one under construction. And of the students that we have in our district, we serve about 9,700 meals on a daily basis. Some other demographic and fast facts that we wanted to share with you, that you can see how our school community is kind of changing and growing. You can see the percentages of students there that are represented in each one of those areas, and that's based off of about 12,000 students in our school district. So we have about 5% English language learners, 16% of our students are in special education. We also have 10% roughly of our students that are receiving gifted education. A little over 1% of our students are homeless or highly mobile. As we continue to go down the slide, you can see that about 23% of our students get some educational benefit and support. 57% of our students participate in advanced courses. We have 712 students that open enroll into our school district. We also have about 1,100 students that are enrolled elsewhere in our school. So sometimes people will talk about open enrollment causing overcrowding. We actually have about 400 more students open enrolling out of our district than coming in. We have 87 different languages spoken in our school district. 88.5% of our students, elementary students, participate with targeted services, meaning they get some help or support academically. And 9.8% of our elementary students also participate in targeted services during the summer. So not only do they get those services during the school year, but they also are provided for them during the summer. As you take a look at our report card as a school district, our assessments reinforce what not only is happening here in our state, but also elsewhere throughout our country. And you can see a quote from the Commissioner of Education, Willie Jett, that relates to that. You can see that over the last 5 years, there's been a slight decline. Part of that was due to COVID, and we still are trying to rally and recover back to that. You'll also see the chart on the side that shows from 2019 to 2023, the percentages of our students that are performing in math, reading, and science area. Again, not that we feel that our students are performing at the highest level all the time, but we also know that our scores are higher than the state average in every grade and in every subject, but we also know that there's room for improvement for us to continue to move forward. Our graduation rate is also part of our report card. You can see that we're fairly consistent with that from 2018 to 2022. We're above 90% for all of our graduates, and you can see the number of students and how that fluctuates from year to year, from just about 900 students every year that we have within our graduating class. Continuing to take a look at our report card, you can see that we do ask our students on how they feel connected with our school district. Do they have a relationship with a staff member? You can see it's a little bit stronger at elementary level than maybe at the secondary level because, of course, our elementary students are with our staff all day, every day on those areas, and at the secondary level, they move around a little bit more. But you can also see that that connectedness is a key contributor to the mental health and well-being of our students as we take a look at the information we have, but also the information that we receive from the American Psychology Associations. Student support equals student success. I think everybody understands that a comprehensive mental health program improves the outcome for our students and also for our school staff. In such a large school district, our school provides a setting to be able to provide support services to help promote the well-being of our students and support through prevention and early identification and intervention in those areas where some of our students may need those additional supports. So you can see students at our school do receive that, and there's kind of a listing there from greater academic success, more instructional time to improve school climate and safety are some of the things that are able to be noted in that area. The state of our general education funding formula, one of the things that we wanted to point out is that we hear over and over again that in 2023 was the largest school funding increase in the state of Minnesota, which was 4%, and then for the next year 2%. And that also includes support with the special education cross subsidy. That is true, but you can also see, according to the graph and through the information that we're able to share, that the gap, even with that large funding, which we're thankful for, continues to widen. And along with those new dollars, there also came many new unfunded mandates, from the READ Act to unemployment that we have to pay for, and to some family leave days that we have to now pay for that we didn't before. So even though we did receive a large amount of money, many of those funds are going to have to be attributed to or attached to these other areas. There are also several other school districts that are running referendums, which I think also speaks to the need for continued funding for public education. We often get asked, how do we compare to other school districts in the area? And here's a chart that shows you where we fall in regard to numerous other school districts around us of comparable size or just neighboring school districts. It's important to note that compared to municipal school districts our size, Lakeville area school still lags behind on average of about $407 per pupil, or would be a total of $5.4 million if we were reaching the max operational levy that we were asking for. Our general fund, I know that we went through some budget reductions last year, and you can see that prior to last year, there was some opportunities where we had some expenditures that were exceeding our revenue. As we develop the budget for this year, you can see that we've reversed that trend. And that trend going forward is for us to be able to make sure that we are not expending more than we're bringing in. That'll help reestablish our fund balance and continue to help us be fiscally sound moving forward. One of the other things that we wanted to talk about was the upcoming levy referendum. There are 2 questions on the upcoming ballot. Question 1 is for voters to consider increasing the educational funds to staff and operate Highview Elementary School. Question 2 is for voters to help increase general education funds to expand our mental health, behavioral, and academic support in order to help us, and also in order to help us attract and retain highly qualified staff. We do have a video that is attached to our website that people can click on if they don't want to read pamphlet information or read through a website. This video does highlight the upcoming ballot measure and does explain a little bit more about what's going to be asked for. As we continue to look at the ballot measure, we did want to be mindful of the fact that we did have a conservative ask and we're respectful in the approach that we're taking. We did survey the community, and from what was told to us by the community, we're asking for what our students need, and we are trying to be respectful and responsible and conservative as we move forward with the ask of our taxpayers. Ballot question number 1 does speak specifically to Highview Elementary. You can see here what we're asking for are those areas that are not directly tied to students when we redistrict or reboundary should this facility open. The principal, support staff, custodial and ground staff, the counselor, other specialty areas and utilities and supplies, all are part of that operational aspect of what we're looking for. People ask about teaching staff. Again, as we take a look at redistricting and rebounding our attendance areas, we have students in some of our elementary buildings as large as 950 students. Our smallest elementary is just barely over 400. What we would do is try to balance it out and bring some of that overcrowding in some of those schools to this facility. With students comes some of the teaching staff that are attached to them. We do have a very specific guideline that we have to follow based off of our association's contracts and the process that we'd have to be able to do to bring that teaching staff into this facility. You want to make sure that we have well-balanced schools across our district in respect to the high quality staff that we have, but also in regards to the number of students and staff that are associated with that. As we take a look at what it means if this referendum passes, Highview Elementary, if it's fully operational, you can see that it allows us to now not be over capacity in our elementary schools. It does give us a little cushion for the next several years as we move forward. Without that overcapacity continues to grow as we continue to grow as a school district. Ballot question number 2 is about K through 12 and actually pre-K through 12 supports with mental health, behavioral support, academic support, and also help us attract and retain staff. I'll talk about attract and retaining staff first because it kind of connected in several areas. With ballot question 2, if you remember during the budget reductions, one of the things that we put in place was a cap on years of experience for maybe veteran or more tenured teachers in other districts to come to our district. So if I'm a teacher in another district with 10 years of experience, we've capped it and only allowed them to bring in 5 years of experience, which is a deterrent for those folks to be able to want to come here because it does limit their years of experience and their pay. This, if it passes, would remove that, which is about $500,000. The other thing in those other areas, mental health, behavioral, and academic support, we believe that it helps attract and retain our staff because there are districts around us that have other supports in those areas that people can look at and determine if I have a struggle in my classroom with a student or with my class in general, what other helps and supports can I receive? And as Lakeville area schools, we realize that it's a need for our staff to have these supports, so that's why we're asking for these particular areas. Question number 2, the other thing that it does is it helps us provide consistent and enhanced student support. There is going to be some restructuring of the organizational model of our support for students. We would be looking at adding a net of almost 25 new positions to our school district with the addition of school counselors, social workers to all of our buildings pre-K through 12. We also are looking at the addition of behavior interventionists at all of our elementary schools. One of the big important things that we want to focus on is that this would help us provide consistency at each level and enhance our support. where right now we have kind of a hodgepodge of things going on. One school may have this type of help, another school may have a different type of help and support. This would help build those foundational components that we need across our whole district for us to be able to continue to grow and develop over time. We're also looking at aligning to the best practices for our students via a team model of support. We would remove the cap to attract and retain our high quality staff to support our students. And this is just the first step in a longer term multi-step process that's aimed at continuing to improve our support areas. This is just the first step in that process. To be able to build out the whole support system, we would need continued support financially over the next several years. And as we're able to show the success of this model, we'll hope to be able to come out and show our staff and our students and our community how we can build this out further. Here's an example of what would take place at the elementary in regard to what our current model looks like, and if question 2 passes, what would be added to those particular buildings. Same goes for our middle school structure here with the principal, assistant principals, support people, and then how you can see that would be added with our assistant principals, a counselors, and a social worker. Here's another example of what it would look like at the high school in regard to our current model, and then what if question 2 were to pass, how you can see those supports are added for our students and our staff as well. So again, with each one of those particular slides from the elementary, middle school, and high school level, you can see the current offering of supports that we have for our staff and our students, how that would then be adjusted to be able to provide more staffing and support for our students at each one of those particular areas. Again, this is not the complete build out of this support system for our students. This is just an additional step to be able to move us forward because we realize as we continue to grow, we're going to need to continue to add additional supports as we move this process forward. We also wanted to point out that it's every area of our school district that is impacted and through this enhancement of student support. Lakeville Pathways Academy and Online Academy, you can see there how their current structure would change, and also wanted to point out that Crystal Lake Early Education Center would be impacted as well, given their current administrative structure and other supports that we'll be able to get. So we wanted to make sure that we're building that framework and foundation to be consistent across our district from our littlest kids to our older kids, and so this is something that is supported pre-K through 12. So with question 2, you can see that the additional student support positions that are the current additional support positions that are in the building would not be affected by the referendum vote. We still have instructional behavior coaches, behavior threat assessment specialists, chemical counselor, targeted service, and school psychologists that are for those eligible students as well. We also have other supports with PBIS, social emotional learning, and our co-located mental health services that are provided, again, for those eligible students that are supported through our community. So what does this all mean as far as dollars? If this is approved, our tax impact for our community is on average about $15 a month if you have a home, which the median value is $465,000. This is a spread over all of our property tax owners. We are a growing community, so that does help minimize the tax impact. And if you're not exactly sure what that means for you, there is a online tax calculator here on this slide that you can click on, enter your house information, and you'll be able to see how you're impacted. We realize that not everybody loves to pay taxes, but as a school district, we know that this is the vehicle that we have to use in order to be able to continue to support our staff and students, and we have to be able to go to our taxpayers to be able to get their approval to do it. People do ask if it's not approved, what happens? There are several different things that will take place, but we do want to point out that we do have urgent needs, and they're going to continue to persist even as we continue to grow. And so the resources that we have will continue to be spread out more thinly. Some of the things that will take place, their elementary class size will increase, limiting interactions individually for our students. There could be some temporary adjustments in boundaries in order to ease the overcrowding in some of our buildings. Then if we're able to come back and pass a referendum again, we're changing boundaries again, so that could create some more turmoil. Essential mental health, behavioral, and academic supports would be continued to be limited, and that could hinder the growth of our students and our staff, along with the success of our students. We realize that if this doesn't pass, it does send a message to some of our employees that may be looking to continue with us or be attracted to move to our district, that could inhibit some of that from taking place. And it also does have the increase of costs taking place that impact the ability to hire and keep high quality people with us. All of these are factors that would be in place if this referendum were not to pass. So with that, we do want to remind everybody that the election process has actually already started. It started on September 22nd. You can vote at district office or Dakota County. You do have the opportunity to vote by mail, and there's a way to be able to do that. Otherwise, the election day itself is on November 7th, and polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Thank you for taking the opportunity to listen to us today and take a look at the information that we wanted to share with you. We're thankful for all the help and support we get, and we look forward to how we continue to move forward and grow together as a school district and a community. Thank you.